Good morning, everyone who's in the US, and for anyone who's not in the US, good whatever time of day it is for you all. I'm Tari Suprapto. I'm the Director for Research and Evaluation for Novo Nordisk. I will not be presenting today, but I will be doing so at the annual meeting. But I'm here more in a capacity as your moderator slash MC for today. As Colleen mentioned, we've got a great lineup of people presenting their respective organizations. We will hopefully have enough time for one or two questions after each presentation, but please rest assured that there is time for where we will spend in breakout rooms, and so you're welcome to ask further questions there. Um, and again, the purpose of this is really about to connect for the purpose of being able to form future collaborations. And we're glad that we're able to offer it to you in both a virtual format as well as in person at the annual meeting. So if you have not registered for the autumn annual meeting, please do so. And Colleen just told us that the hotel is at 88% capacity. So you snooze, you lose, and you're going to end up somewhere else, nowhere near as nice as the Marriott Marquis. Just be warned. Anyway, let's get started. Our first speaker today is going to be Ruben Flores from General Inception. Ruben, are you ready for us?
I'm ready, and thank you very much, Colleen. Thank you, Terry, for organizing this forum again. We did it last year. It was a total success, and we're excited that there's so many of you that are attending today. I'm actually coming in to you today from New York City. I normally reside in San Diego, but I'm here on a business travel. I'm going to make a very quick 2-minute introduction of General Inception, give you my contact information, and invite anybody who's interested to contact us so we can explore collaborations and working with you. I have a 23-year career in the industry, 10 of them in technology transfer at leadership positions at UCSD, USC, and Harvard UCLA Medical Center. And before that, 12 years in corporate America, product development and product launch. General Inception, the organization that I'm part of, it's a company that is backed by venture capital investors. And our role at General Inception is to co-found new companies with exceptional academic innovators and create those companies in a way that it is attractive for an institutional investor to come in and invest in a seed or Series A. We, as General Inception, spend a couple of months talking to the PI, the postdoc, the students that are the scientific innovators. And through that process, we talk about the amount of capital that would be required, the amount of de-risking that would be required to attract institutional investment in 12 to 18 months, which is our own goal. That's the goal that we set ourselves for working with innovators. So, really, just I want to show a couple of slides here real quick. We have, probably I've already spoken with some of you in the US. If not, I'd love to talk to some of you in the US. About 30% of our operations are in Europe, and these are some of the universities that we're talking to in Europe. We created 40 companies, 40, in the last 3.5 years since we were created. And of those 40 companies, 10 have already secured seed or Series A. Here are some of our portfolio companies. But if you go to our website, I really just wanted you to point you to our website today. How do I do that? Where is our website? If you go to our website, generalinception.com, inventors that are part of those companies. We are based in Los Angeles, San Diego, most of the team in France, the UK, Spain, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland. And we are a global organization that is very passionate about working with innovators to co-found new companies. Please go to generalinception.com, generalinception.com, so you can find information about us, about our portfolio companies. And please get in touch with me at my email address, which is my name. It's ruben.flores, ruben.flores at generalinception.com. That's all I have to say for today. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Colleen. And thank you, Adam, for allowing us to present.
Thank you so much, Ruben. And I do know you have to go. So again, Ruben has so kindly provided his contact information. I've also put it in the chat. And do visit the website. Great organization. So enjoy the rest of your cold day in New York, Ruben. We're going to move on to Chris from Bayer. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Thanks, Tori. Did my screen come up?
Looks great.
Good.
Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much. Thanks, Tori. Thanks, Colleen, for the invite to give you a bit of an introduction to Bayer, as they say in Germany, or Bayer, as we say in the U.S. On the first slide, I intentionally put my email address in case questions come up. You can reach me anytime. It's christopher.pascal@bayer.com. So anything that's held over from the meeting today, feel free to reach out to me by email. I try to respond as quickly as I can. Let's see if I can advance these. Did that advance, Tori? Good. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So Bayer, many of you are probably familiar with Bayer, but it's a German company, fairly large, $20 billion or roughly $20 billion pharmaceutical company with 40,000 employees. In the pharma division, there are 3 divisions to Bayer. I'm part of our pharmaceutical division, but we also have a separate crop science and consumer health division. A couple of things important maybe for you all today. One, in the last year or so, the company has stood up 4 what are called Collaborate to Cure hubs around the world. I'm part of R1 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the Boston metro area, but there are 3 others around the world: Berlin, Beijing, and Tokyo. And these are regional business development hubs intended to dive deeply into their respective ecosystems. So ours in Boston is responsible for the US, North American region. So for academics, I am your primary point of contact into Bayer. So anything that piques your interest today, any questions you have, I'm happy to be your primary point of contact. The other thing I want to introduce to you is just in June this year, we opened our first incubator called the CoLab, and it's called CoLab Cambridge. We're also opening these around the world near innovation centers in Europe and Asia. But we have space here in Boston on the 2nd floor of our building, wet lab space along with office space, enough to house approximately 12 companies at any given time. And the primary focus of CoLab is cell and gene therapy, but there is also an interest in bringing in oncology companies if the opportunity is right. While there is physical space, CoLab also offers a virtual membership as well. So if you have any questions about that, these would be for your startup companies that are spinning out of your respective universities. If you have a company that is in the CNGT space or in oncology, feel free to reach out to me. I'll connect you to the CoLab team and they can give you more information about it. So kind of the money slide for us today is, where is Bayer focused in terms of early stage R&D? And you're going to see 4 areas of interest on this slide. One is not on here, but there are 2 on here I really want to focus on. First and foremost is oncology. Bayer is trying to increase its presence in oncology. And so oncology is really the main area of focus for us in terms of early stage R&D and external innovation. I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. The second high area of interest is in cardiovascular. And Bayer has an interesting definition of cardiovascular, and that is organs that are perfused by a blood supply fall within cardiovascular, which is kind of everything. I get that. It's a bit of an inside joke in the company, but in terms of cardiovascular, we do include in that a heavy emphasis on nephrology. So Bayer has a drug called Corindia for late-stage chronic kidney disease that's done extremely well. And so the company has built some expertise in the nephrology space, largely based on that drug. Also, acute care falls within the cardiovascular space as well. Two other areas of interest: neurology, rare disease, immunology. Those are largely driven by our affiliate partners, AskBio, BlueRock Therapeutics, and Vividian. So if you have technologies of space in those areas, I'm happy to take a look at them, but largely what we do is we share those with our affiliate partners, and they drive the BD discussions in those areas of interest. One other I did want to mention is radiology. So radiology, we have a separate vertical within our pharma division completely devoted to radiology. So anything you have in contrast agent technology is really of interest to us, and I know that's a significant source of R&D within the academic community. So anything in the contrast agent space, I'd love to take a look at and review and share that with our radiology BD group. Maybe a couple of other little nuggets of information for each of these areas of interest. Certainly in oncology, I think Bayer has grown more of an appetite for risk. And why do I say that? One is we're really looking at opportunities in oncology on the what we call the undruggable, or what I like to call the not yet drugged targets in oncology. So if you have investigators working in what's traditionally been known as undruggable, we'd love to know what you're doing and see opportunities in that area. There's also a move within Bayer to move toward more precision medicine. So the company's moving away from kind of these large, say, for example, the Eliquises of the world, fantastic drug that has a huge market, but also requires significant investment in large phase 3 clinical trials. Bayer's kind of moved away from those opportunities and is looking at really all indication spaces through more of a precision lens. So is there a patient population that is identifiable through a biomarker or some sort of means? And is there a subset of that patient population that responds really well to therapeutic interventions? That's where the company really wants to play. So if you think you have opportunities or investigators who are working on innovations of that sort, would love to chat with you. And then in terms of oncology, maybe drilling down a little bit on that, since that is our primary focus in terms of external innovation, we officially have 3 verticals within the oncology team. One is targeted radiotherapies or targeted alpha therapies. So anything you have in that space, I know our team would love to review it. We have a precision molecular oncology. This is kind of the traditional identify a novel target or even a binding pocket on a given target that's new and interesting, differentiating where the patient population has a high unmet need. That's that group. And then Bayer's also moving into what we're calling next generation immuno-oncology. I think that strategy is largely still being put together, but anything you have in IO, we'd be happy to take a look at as well. So I know that was really fast, but hopefully gave you a high level of what's going on with Bayer, and either at the end or in the breakout sessions, happy to chat and take questions.
Thank you, Chris. And yes, we will take questions in the breakouts, but thank you for a comprehensive presentation. Next up, we've got David from Chiesi.
Okay, thank you very much, Tari, and thanks to Autumn for organizing this event. These are always great events. I'm just going to pull up my slide deck here. And hopefully you can see the slides here.
Yes.
Great. So, hi everybody. My name is David Lough. I've been with Chiesi for 6 years now, and I'm responsible for academic partnerships. Not a lot of people have heard of Chiesi, so I'm going to spend a couple of minutes introducing the company. So, we're headquartered in Parma, in Italy. We're 100% owned by the Chiesi family, and we're a privately held company. So that's a little bit unusual for US-based companies, let's say. I'm based in Boston, and I share an office with my colleagues in the Global Rare Disease Unit. So that's where it's headquartered, here in Boston. So yeah, the company, we have about 6,500 employees worldwide. We have about 1,000 of those dedicated to R&D. Our revenues last year were $3 billion. And typically we reinvest about 22% of our revenues back into the pipeline. We have a direct presence in 31 countries, so that's through our fully owned subsidiaries and known as affiliates in Chiesi parlance. And one thing I like to mention when I introduce the company is we're very proud of the fact that we're a benefit corporation, so a B Corp. So we achieved that certification a few years ago, and that reflects the company's core values and sustainability, the environment, putting patients first and getting involved in the communities that we work in. And yeah, 2023 got off to a great start for the company. Got some highlights, some news that happened this year. So in February, we announced the FDA approval of our product Lamzeed for alpha-mannosidosis. In March, we announced our collaboration with a Swedish company called Affibody, and that was in respiratory diseases. In April, we announced the acquisition of an Irish company called Amryt Pharma. And then in May, we announced the EMA as well as FDA approval within a few days of each other for our product PRX-102, and that's in Fabry disease. So as far as the hows and whys of engaging with academic institutions, that gives us great access to breakthrough research, hopefully ahead of the competition. Also helps expand our scientific network, raise Chiesi awareness. As I say, not a lot of folks know about us in the US. And also it increases the quality of early stage projects that hopefully we can ultimately bring into the pipeline as products. And we do this through networking events such as today's event, through requests for proposals with academic groups, scouting campaigns, and a few other activities. So we're pretty active in engaging with academia. So as far as our wish lists, so I'm going to look at respiratory as well as rare diseases here. So COPD and asthma are the bread and butter of the company, but over the years we've also moved into IPF, pulmonary hypertension, chronic cough, non-CF bronchiectasis, as well as bronchopulmonary dysplasia. So that's our kind of wish list of 7 indications in respiratory diseases. And as far as modalities, we're looking at small molecules, biologics, and RNA therapeutics. So we've really opened up the tool chest in the last few years. When I first joined the company, we were known as a small molecule company. And on the rare side, there's 4 cluster areas that we're interested in: rare genetic disorders. So first one is inborn errors of metabolism. So that includes lysosomal storage disorders. On the rare ophthalmology side, we're mostly focused on back of the eye indications. Retinitis pigmentosa and achromatopsia are a couple of examples there. The third cluster area is hematoimmunology, and that's a broad area that covers enzyme deficiencies, immunodeficiencies, and hematoglobinopathies. Then the final bullet point here is endometabolic, so that's rare disorders, including lipodystrophies. So an example there would be familial hypercholesterolemia. And then as far as modalities that we're considering on the rare disease side, again, RNA therapeutics, we're interested in gene editing, biologics, and also for some indications, we'll consider novel gene therapies. That might be the only approach for that specific disorder. The top half of the slide here gives some examples of our collaborations over the last 5 years, and those cover acquisitions, licenses, sponsored research agreements, that kind of thing. So why partner with Chiesi? We're a medium-sized family business. We like to think we have lean decision-making, and we can get deals done a little bit quicker than other bigger pharmas. We have a fully integrated deal-making team that includes alliance management. So there's 30 of us in corporate development that cover the full spectrum of licensing and then alliance management itself. We're very flexible in how we engage with academic partners. So that might depend on the stage of development of the technology, our in-house capabilities, or the PI's expertise. So it could be a very early stage collaboration with a sponsored research agreement, for instance. And I also, we have strong in-house R&D capabilities, and that's spread out through 7 research centers globally. And I've got a little graphic here as well. So yeah, thanks very much for your attention, and I look forward to hearing from anybody that has non-confidential summaries to share with me. My email address is down here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the panel session later. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, David. We do have time for 1 or 2 questions if anyone has anything that's burning. I know we're a big group, but just speak up. Going once.
I actually have one.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Amy.
I'll fill the space. David, can you just walk us through very briefly, what would a typical academic relationship look like? Calling from Albany Medical Center, you know, we're doing basic, a little bit of applied research, but very, very early stage, not through any sort of trials. Can you just walk us through what that might look like, both from a responsibility perspective, as well as maybe just a simple financial overview?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. So basically, it would start off with typically, you know, a non-conventional summary, maybe a follow-up call to dig deeper, perhaps a CDA to dig even deeper than that. And as far as engagement, as I mentioned, we're flexible. And like the example you gave, I think mentioned very early stage research. So in respiratory, we're comfortable engaging, say, at the discovery stage. So that might be, you know, the most common agreement we enter into with academic institutions are sponsored research agreements. So that's a great way to kind of have some milestone-driven funded research and kind of get to know the PI better, get to know the institution as well. So I think SRAs are a great kind of gateway agreement with academic institutions. And, you know, what we've seen time and time again, and this is great, is, you know, we start off with an SRA, and then most of the work's getting done at the PI's lab, and then over the years, you know, the project evolves. There might be spin-off kind of projects. So like I say, it's a great way to start things off, but it typically leads to all kinds of other exciting research and offshoot projects.
Love it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great. Thank you so much, David. Up next, we've got Manjula from Evotech.
All right. Can everyone see my slide?
Not yet. There we go.
All right. Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Tari, Colleen, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with everyone. I'm Manjula Dhanapudi. I've come from a background of tech transfer combined with alliance management in pharma, and joined Evotech about 6 months ago as VP Business Development. I support discovery, the discovery arm of the company. And I will take a few minutes today to just tell you a little bit about Evotech, because I'm not sure how many folks have heard of the company. So we'll skip that and we'll go straight into what I want to share with you about Evotech. If you haven't heard of us, we're a German-based company, headquartered in Hamburg, and we're an R&D biotech that kind of wears multiple different hats. But lately, we've been mostly offering our capabilities in pipeline building, and that's done through innovative partnerships. Where we've been around for about 30 years, where we have a CRO background. And so we still offer traditional services. That remains a core of who we are, and quality comes along with it. But we are now about 4,000 scientists and staff around the world, working in a number of disease areas and targets and so on, leveraging our capabilities and platform technologies. I think for this crowd, given that the majority of you are university folks, I think it's worth stating that while we co-create intellectual property, we typically don't co-own it. So that should be very exciting news for the university friends. All right. We're headquartered in Hamburg. It's a German company that's actually publicly traded now on the German Stock Exchange, as well as on the New York Stock Exchange. And we have 17 sites globally. I want to highlight a few of our European sites, as those are where some of our centers of excellence sit. So Toulouse, France, is where our Oncology Center of Excellence resides. Hamburg, together with Göttingen, is where a lot of our high throughput screening activity happens. And over in Italy, we have a neuroscience center of excellence, and then as well in parts of Germany as well. And then back over into the UK, we're in other therapeutic areas such as infectious diseases and more high throughput screening. So that's just kind of give you to give you a scale of where we are in Europe and the kind of therapeutic areas that we play in. We're not really limited to 4 or 5 therapeutic areas. We're in a number of different areas as well. And we have a US presence. Princeton's our US headquarters, and we're located in Seattle as well, where we do a lot of our biologics work. As I mentioned, we're in a variety of different disease areas. So we have expertise in ranging from CNS through to metabolic diseases, with a pretty big presence in kidney diseases, as well as inflammation, autoimmunity, and inflammatory diseases as well. So we're not restricted to a particular therapeutic area. We may have some the flavors that we play in for our internal portfolios, but when we're partnering with our external folks, we make sure we're free and clear of any conflicts and before we engage. The best way to characterize our colleagues, and at least what I've observed over the last 6 months being at this company, is the depth of knowledge and expertise that each of them bring. Many of the Evotec colleagues are ex-pharma. They've all put, many of them have put drugs on the market, whether it's through Sanofi or Astra or GSK, which is where some of our sites were former pharma sites. So whether it's through their past experience through that or from other areas, we bring a lot of knowledge of disease biology and modality expertise as well. So we combine that with a variety of R&D platforms spanning, and I'm happy to make these slides available because there's a lot of information on them. We combine a lot of all of our disease expertise together with all the R&D platforms that are available to us. We have precision medicine platforms, and combining that with our scalable platforms in biologics to help kind of offer under one roof technologies and capabilities to advance drug development programs. And we do this with a number of different partners, including academia. And I wanted to highlight just maybe a couple of different ways where we engage with academia. because there is an academic collaboration arm of our company that identifies specific partnerships, whether it's through disease areas aligning with Novo, or with Bristol Myers Squibb or other companies. That's a specific construct that many of you may have heard of. It's called our Bridges program. I'm in the discovery side of the company. We have a team of BD colleagues who also look for development opportunities. But my specialty is in the discovery area. And I do work with academics in New York City, which is where I'm based, to progress some of their opportunities so that they can hit their next inflection point or spin out their new co and seek funding. We also work with a number of foundations, and there are a couple of instances where we work with both academia and foundations to help move science forward. So a variety of different constructs. We're not wedded to any one in particular. I want to point out that while we're not really a venture investing type of company per se, we do have an equity portfolio that's been slowly building over the years. We have about 34 active investments. All the they're not dollar figures, they're euro figures, the investment amounts. Most of the plays have been in small molecules. We've helped many of these companies that we've invested in take their molecules into clinical trials. And our sweet spot for those types of investments and plays have been largely in AI as well as oncology, or a combination of both, and I&I, which is where a huge amount of our expertise sits. Oh, not able to advance this. Okay. Can everyone see this still?
Yeah, and Manjula, you're coming very close to time, so
okay,
if we can
all
start.
right. Well, I will wrap up very shortly. And okay, yep. Well, so this should just give a quick snapshot of some of our equity holdings. Many of these are new co spinning out of academia. So just to wrap up, other than equity and new co activity, we are engaged with academia in discovery partnerships. As I said, it's often an idea or a screen or a cell line that needs to be developed, something as simple as that, or a challenging protein that needs to be produced. And that needs to be done to help you get to your next inflection point, whether it's to seek funding or go out and seek more money, or attract a pharma partner. So, what's your idea? How can we create value together? I'm going to assume Tari has my email address and she'll pop it into the chat shortly. But if there's any questions you have about Evotec, we play in a lot of spaces. We have a lot of capabilities and experts. So if you have a challenging question, reach out to us. We're happy to help, or at least I can point you in the right direction.
Great. Thank you so much, Manjula. Please save your questions for the breakout room. And yes, I will put your email address into the chat in a moment. But for now, we're going to move on and hear from Nelson from Novartis. Thanks so much.
Hello, everybody. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Great. All right. Hi, my name is Nelson Medeiros. I've been at Novartis for about 2 years. I've spent 10 years of my career working in technology licensing offices, also healthcare strategy consulting and venture capital. And so I am part of the External Research Collaborations group at Novartis. And a little bit more about the company and our group. So Novartis Biomedical Research is where we conduct a lot of biomedical research internally. A little bit about our entity is that we have 5,600 scientists working on early stage research globally. And we've got 240 approximately pipeline discovery projects. Over the past few years, we've discovered 42 new molecular entities between 99 and 2021. We're a focused medicines company, and we're focused on 4 disease areas and 3 platform technologies. So the disease areas are oncology, immunology, neuroscience, and cardiorenal and metabolics. So that's all one disease area. With regard to the platform technologies, radioligand therapies, RLT is extremely important to Novartis, as well as cell and gene therapies and RNA and RNAi-based technologies. So these are some of the new technology platforms that Novartis is investing in. Novartis does a lot of research internally and externally. Last year, spending almost $10 billion US on research and development. And so can't do it all alone. So several groups have been formed at Novartis Biomedical Research to interact with academic community. And so my group is down at the bottom here, External Research Collaborations. We're the transactions team that puts in place various transactions with academic institutions. We work very closely with the hexagon above me, which is the External Science and Partnering. They're the search and eval team, again, focused on search and eval at academic institutions. We've got several other groups that work with academic institutions, strategic initiatives, biomedical education and innovation, and scientific sponsorships and community donations. And so just to hit home the fact that Novartis, like many of our peer companies, are very interested in working with academic institutions and staying close to where innovation happens. And many of us, as you'll see, come from the TLO world and have an understanding of that environment, and with the goal of facilitating these partnerships. So a little bit about my group. So if you just see the External Research Collaborations Group, we are under the umbrella of Academic Partnerships and External Innovation, or AP and EI. Wendy Yajnik is the head of the group. She's spent much of her career in technology licensing at Brigham and Women's Hospital. And then under her are 3 separate groups: early strategic partnerships that you saw, the search and eval group for focus on academic partnerships and establishing academic partnerships, the External Research Collaborations team. The head of that group is Yogesh Sharma. Again, long history of working in a TLO, and he's the head of the transactions team. And as you can see, these here are the folks on my team. It's color coded. Some of us work in Basel, Switzerland. Some of us work in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and we have one person, Sharon, who operates out of San Diego. And so these academic partnerships happen globally. And so we're located globally in order to facilitate those interactions. And many of us here, along with myself, have experience working at TLOs and putting academic partnerships in place. So a little bit more about what External Research Collaborations do. So generally, we provide business guidance and transactional support to enable external scientific partnerships globally, which complement the discovery programs at Biomedical Research. So we provide business guidance for external engagements. We engage with science, legals, patents, Novartis leadership on how to set up these academic partnerships. We implement the agreements that meet the research needs of the business. And then we're partnering with academia, nonprofits, biotechs, governments to advance the science at biomedical research. So again, thank you all. I look forward to the breakout discussions, and look forward to hearing what you have, any questions that you have for me and for Novartis, and working with all of you.
Thank you so much, Nelson. And you finished exactly on time. And as Nelson mentioned, he'll be in the breakout rooms after, so save your questions for that. Next up, we've got Gary from Radicle.
All right, Gary, you might be on mute. Just want to double check.
I'm just pulling up my screen, so hopefully, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can see my slides.
And your slide is up.
All right, 2 for 2. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time to listen and give me the chance to present. My name is Gary Ezekian from the Radicle Development Center in suburban Philadelphia. And was fortunate enough to meet some of the folks from Autumn at the USPTO event earlier this year, and haven't gotten this chance to network as much as I've wanted to. So really appreciate the forum today. So I run a startup company that does early stage hardware product development, more on the physical sciences side of things than many of the presenters today. And, actually, to kind of give you the history, which is evolving in real time with my touch points here, we recently rebranded from the original name OxyCool, which was actually a tech transfer company working on commercializing cooling technology out of the U.S. Navy. Long story of, many of the struggles that are faced in hardware development. And, after some roadblocks, what we decided to do was turn that into a business model that really focuses on how do you get things out of the lab and into the market. And that's what we've been tackling with the facility and the expertise and the team of engineers that we have, of what can we do to improve the odds of commercialization of the great work that goes on in university and national labs. So problem space that I'm sure is near and dear to the hearts of many on this call. So to give you a sense of what we're offering, we have a 50,000 square foot facility that we are, able to, we have a good footprint in, and are, expanding different capabilities. And our value proposition is really to entrepreneurs and researchers to bring us a lab level prototype and work collaboratively with our team of engineers, our equipment, and that know-how that we've built of how you rapidly de-risk technologies. Generally, we're not working to get them all the way to market, but we're looking to be the middle organization in between what's in the labs and how can you de-risk something enough that it's ready to scale for market access, or in many cases, as have been discussed, kind of looking at some of the incumbent OEMs of how things get transferred to scale and reach the marketplace. So kind of just to give you a sense of where we see the white space in the market, kind of when you have new ideas, and many labs have access to lab equipment, there's maker spaces there that kind of help you get to that first prototype. And then there's organizations that are contract manufacturers and larger OEMs that know how to scale that. And we're really trying to position ourselves in the middle of that, bring us something at TRL 2 or 3, and we can work together to faster, cheaper, better, get it to TRL 6, 7, 8, so that it becomes intriguing to scale up with different organizations. So very interested in networking with tech transfer organizations who kind of have a portfolio of different innovations, and there's always kind of the matchmaking of sort of each technology's got a different path forward. And the cool thing about us transitioning and still being in a startup mode is that we're able to be very flexible in the types of engagements on how we work together. So For university type projects, it might be that we can be the partner to help go after a larger grant that ultimately can unlock commercial potential and get something out of the lab. Right now, we're not as much looking into direct licensing, but that's certainly something that we can work with. We can be a resource for entrepreneurs that are within your various organizations that go and try to spin something out. And that's actually been some of our initial clients have been that, single person team trying to license the technology, build a company, and we can offer the physical infrastructure and expertise that is lacking and hard to get and capital intensive. So just to give a couple focus areas, not exclusive, but building technologies and HVAC was where we came from, and still have very, very strong interest in being disruptive in that space. Carbon capture is one where we just got a small DOE award as an incubator in that space. But any type of hardware projects where there's controls and automations, and some of the unique capabilities we have relate to ultra high cleanliness, vacuum applications. So very interested in getting the chance to meet people and network where we can help. So I've listed my contact information, Gary@radical.build, or on LinkedIn, and appreciate everyone listening today, and would love to follow up on ways that we can work together going forward on a case-by-case basis.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gary, and really interesting. Please save your questions for Gary for the breakout rooms, and I've put his email address in the chat as well. Next up, we've got Zara from Species Bio, and I'm really hoping I did not mangle the pronunciation of the company name. So feel free to correct me as you get on. Thanks, Zara.
Yeah, sure. I am not sure if I'm sharing. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to try to share the slides. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you, Tari and Colleen, for having me. This is not the right slide. Everybody sees the first blue slide?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm going to be talking about Species Bio, and I guess kind of briefly about myself. Maybe my bio wasn't updated on the website. I started my career in academia. My research spanned from neuroscience in undergraduate to building integrated nanobio platforms in graduate school. Worked at UC Irvine Office of Technology Licensing as a fellow, and followed by Stanford Office of Tech Licensing as a licensing associate. Also worked at a couple of startups prior to joining Species Bio. So just kind of very broad overview of the general pain points we're trying to address at Species Bio. We've been working with many industry and academic partners who have struggled sourcing samples and data and finding collaborators to advance their R&D goals. And also for myself, through many years, close to 12 years of academic research experience, I've noticed it's actually kind of difficult for academic researchers sometimes to find samples, the right samples and data to publish. And just a quick anecdote of an oncology surgeon in our network who told us, and he had a lot of concern about this, that he collects tons of samples, oncology samples from patients who are very much willing to contribute these samples to research and development and finding cures and treatments, but unfortunately they get discarded because they just don't know the right organizations or collaborators to share them with. Oops, next slide. So this is kind of a general, I guess, in order to address these pain points, I want to tell you briefly what Species is. We are a network of industry partners, researchers, biorepositories, and institutes that enable research and collaborations on samples and data that typically and oftentimes are siloed and very difficult to obtain and source. And part of that is our network of industry partners who are moving fast, and they're actively searching for biospecimen and data And through leveraging species network, they're able to find the right PIs or researchers, and not only to fund them through SRAs, but also to establish these collaborations and advance their R&D goals. And this is kind of a general diagram of how Species is trying to help the participating partners. So, from a researcher's point of view, and as I mentioned already, researchers, they not only need data and samples, they also need funding. So leveraging Species platform, they can source SRAs, of course, with onboarding of the tech transfer offices, and establish partnerships and exchange data. On the other hand, tech transfer offices, they're able to, and this is actually one of our major goals, was to help with increasing the material transfer agreements, sponsored research opportunities, and eventually establishing these partnerships to increase licensing deals. So essentially a not one-stop shop for TTOs to connect with our industry. Okay, I think that's it. I invite everyone to join our network. I think I went through that rather quickly. I'm happy to chat more in detail about it during the breakout sessions. And yeah, thank you so much again.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Sarah. And next up, we've got Stefan from Thermo Fisher.
Let me unmute myself first. Yeah, thanks, Tara, first, and Ruben and Colleen for organizing here this event. This is really great. And also, thanks everyone for attending. So my name is Stefan Schweitzer. I'm with Thermo Fisher in the Innovation Partnerships team. And we handle everything from in-licensing and collaboration agreements, with external parties, from the sourcing side all the way to the final signed agreement. And we work closely with our OEM partners. And we are corporately positioned, so we support many of our global business units. And a little bit about my background. So I'm a chemist by training. I work for different biotech firms in medical device as well as in pharmaceuticals. Then I moved into tech transfer, spent several years in tech transfer before then moving to Thermo Fisher about 1.5 years ago. Let me share the screen here. And okay, can you see it? The slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Thermo Fisher is a global provider of scientific research and lab equipment, and our mission is to support and enable customers in their research and business needs. And many of those customers come from academia, and in fact, about 1/3 of the revenue it comes actually from academic sales. Our focus is very strongly on R&D. We have about 7,000 R&D scientists, and also many of our product managers have scientific backgrounds. We spend quite a bit, 1.5 billion on R&D investment, so that also confirms our commitment really to scientific research and providing those equipment and materials to customers. A lot of our growth over the years came from inorganic mergers and acquisitions, as well as internal and external research. The latest M&A event was with Binding Site just last year. And so our positioning is across different areas of life science, from healthcare, life sciences, applied segments, as well as pharma and biotech. So we are broadly positioned, and my team, we have about 8 members, and each of us has a different focus. So my focus is mainly on the biosciences side. Let's go on here. So these are some examples of our portfolio in healthcare, in life sciences, applied markets, equipment, and pharma support. Many of those are either materials or instruments, but a lot of the underlying technologies came from external sources through licenses over the past several years. We interact extensively with external partners at Autumn, at different events, in presentations, and ultimately our contacts come a lot also from sales. So because sales, they are really in the labs, interact with researchers. Researchers are customers, but also are a source for innovation. So a lot of those external innovations really and interactions come from sales, and also through our website here. We have also a website which or a portal which we then received external innovations from. So this is an example of some of the technologies we are looking for in biosciences, which is really my focus. Here's I can then in the breakout rooms then provide a little bit more details. But again, so these are all technologies that enable really researchers to do their research, and a lot of those then really come from researchers that from labs, and that might not really strike you as relevant for for therapeutics, but are really tools that help researchers do their research. So this is again our storefront here. So we receive about 200 submissions per year through the storefront, and about 80% of those submissions are then reviewed really by R&D as well as by product managers. And so I think it's also really important to point out that in early discussions we have product management already on board, because many of these technologies are turned around relatively quickly within 1 year, which also then means then income in a short time window for the licensor, because then ultimately you benefit from this early sales then through running royalties. But yeah, it's really important for us that there is a strong business case then with all the opportunities we move forward with. So having product management on board is really important for us early on. So with this, I thank you everyone for listening, and I'm happy to answer further questions in the breakout rooms.
Thank you, Stefan. And you actually do have a question in the chat, which you can address directly there as well. So last but not least, and thank you everyone for your attention and your time in our Connect and Collaborate session today. But we will be, our final presenter will be my longtime colleague. I've negotiated against him several times, Jamie Hoberg from MilliporeSigma. And yes, we're hopefully still friends to this day, Jamie.
Of course, of course. Thank you all. Thank you all. Appreciate it. And I came a little late, so I appreciate for those of you who knew that I was coming late to this meeting, so to this presentation. So I'm gearing up the slides here. So and actually a lot of the content that I'll go over is very similar to Stefan's. It's just a different color. That's really only the only difference. But this is my contact information, my phone number, in case anybody wants to contact me after this presentation. So this slide briefly just really tells you a lot more about our company and what our background is. So our parent company is Merck KGaA, Darmstadt, Germany. And this gives you sort of the reason why we're MilliporeSigma and other names in the United States and Canada. So in 1887, Merck opened up a subsidiary in New York City called Merck and Company. 3 years later, as a result of World War I, the U.S. government expropriated all the assets of Merck and Company, and as they became two distinct entities, Merck and Company and Merck everywhere else in the world, basically every place here in blue. Long story short, just through the years, when Merck KGaA came back U.S. to do business, because of what happened in 1917, they couldn't call their businesses. The naming rights are owned by Merck and Company, even though it originated from Merck KGaA. But we're branded as MilliporeSigma and other EMD Serono, EMD Performance Materials, et cetera, in here in green. But we're a very large corporation, a lot of different businesses associated with that. I always like to share this slide because I think it provides a lot of context about our parent company, Merck KGaA. So we have three big business units as part of the company. There's healthcare, which is the Serono, Merck Serono, EMD Serono part of the business. They do pharmaceuticals. There's performance materials, which you may find it surprising that Merck makes liquid crystals that are like in our cell phones and plasma TVs. Then there's life sciences, and that's the organization that I'm part of. And these are laboratory research tools, upstream, downstream, bioprocessing, et cetera. I always like to put this in here in this slide when I go over this presentation is a patent required? And the answer is no, absolutely not. And this doesn't mean that we don't take licenses to patents. We absolutely do. But it's not always the top of the line, reason why we might take a license, because a lot of these could be tangible material type opportunities. So, when you're, talking to your researchers or you're thinking about, out licensing something from your institution, with respect to us, it's not required. A lot of times know-how is just as important as a patent, if not more. And yeah, I don't know if the slide is coming out so well. It's kind of big, but again, very, very similar to what Stefan was showing, but I think in different colors and maybe not as pretty. But, we're interested in things like antibodies, cell lines, cell culture, glycobiology, messenger RNA for obvious reasons, the microbiome, live cell assays, mass spec, next-gen sequencing, genomics, synthetic biology. It's always expanding this list and area of interest. But I always like to say also that if there are, things that you have or learn about sometime later, then and not on this list, you still have my contact information. You can always reach out to me and we can discuss whether or not it's something we would be interested in. Because a lot of times the best ideas that myself and my team are able to bring to the business are those that aren't on the areas of interest list. They could be breakthrough. It's something that we haven't thought about ourselves, but of course our customers, researchers are extremely smart and they think about these new opportunities all the time. So that's my last slide. Thank you all for listening.